Welcome. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating belief system. The idea that all of human history is just a perfect, repeating 5,000-year loop. But what happens when a spiritual idea like that smacks right into dinosaur bones and ancient pyramids? Well, let's find out.
So let's kick things off with a truly mind-bending concept from our source material. The text claims that this exact moment, yeah, you, listening to this, is a perfect replay from 5,000 years ago. And, get this, it's destined to happen again in exactly the same way in another 5,000 years.
So, where does an idea like this even come from? Well, it's rooted in a prophecy, first really detailed by the Brahma Kumaris organization all the way back in 1936. To really get it, we need to look at their core belief system. At the heart of it all is this theory called the 5,000-year world drama. The basic idea is that history isn't some straight line, marching forward into the unknown. Nope. Instead, it's a closed loop. It's like a play that's already been written, and it just repeats perfectly every 5 millennia.
Now, this 5,000-year cycle isn't just one long period. It's actually broken down into 4 distinct ages, or yugas. This idea of yugas comes from broader Hindu cosmology, but here it's used in a very specific way. The whole thing kicks off with the Satyuga, a perfect golden age. From there, humanity kind of slowly declines through the silver and copper ages, finally landing where we supposedly are now, the Kali Yuga, the Iron Age of darkness. And at the end of this age, total destruction, which wipes the slate clean so the golden age can start all over again.
Okay, but here's where the source text gets really interesting. It doesn't just present this belief and leave it at that. It immediately throws it into the ring with the physical, archaeological history of our world. A real clash of ideas.
And so the author poses this crucial question. What actually happens when you take this neat, tidy 5,000-year cycle and measure it against the hard evidence we've, dug out of the ground?
So, challenge number 1, the Great Pyramid of Giza. The source points out that some dating methods say it's over 45,000 years old. So if all of human history is squeezed into a 5,000-year loop, how could this massive thing exist tens of thousands of years before the cycle even started? It just doesn't fit.
The next problem is even bigger. Literally, we're talking about dinosaurs. Their fossils go back millions of years, which puts them way outside that 5,000-year box. And that creates a huge issue for the theory, because if the drama repeats exactly, well, where are the dinosaurs now?
And this is where that whole reset button at the end of the cycle comes in. We're not just talking about a little fire and brimstone. The text highlights that the world-ending cataclysm supposedly hits a temperature of 1 million degrees Celsius. 1 million.
And that leads to this giant logical paradox, which the source points out directly. I mean, think about it. If you're flash frying the entire planet with that kind of heat, how could something as delicate as a fossil possibly survive? How could we find leftovers from a previous cycle if everything is supposed to be completely wiped clean?
So, faced with what seems like a major conflict between faith and physical evidence, the text does something you might not expect. Instead of telling us to just ignore the facts, it actually suggests a really radical shift in how we look at the whole thing.
To try and solve this puzzle, the text introduces this concept of Behad, which basically means unlimited or infinite knowledge. The idea is that our limited human minds might see things in a limited, cyclical way, but the ultimate reality, the real truth, is infinite. It suggests maybe the 5,000-year cycle isn't the whole story, but just one small part of a much bigger, unlimited picture.
And the text uses this really powerful metaphor to explain it. We shouldn't be staring at the finger that's pointing, we should be looking at what it's pointing towards. So in this view, the 5,000-year cycle isn't the final destination. It's just a signpost pointing us toward a much deeper, more profound reality.
So this clash between the cycle and the evidence doesn't have to be a dead end. The source suggests it's actually an invitation, a chance to find a whole new way of understanding what truth even is.
The argument, really, is that truth isn't some static, rigid thing you can just nail down. It's active, it's alive. Maybe these spiritual teachings have a symbolic meaning that's even deeper than the literal one. Maybe the challenges, the pyramids, the fossils, they aren't there to disprove the idea, but to push us to understand it on a whole other level. Trying to cram an unlimited divine message into a limited 5,000-year box might mean you're missing the whole point.
And this all leads to a very direct and very humble plea from the author. It's really a call for intellectual humility, to be willing to put our preconceived ideas on the shelf for a minute, whether they're scientific or spiritual, and just try to see reality from a different angle.
And that leaves us with one final big question to chew on. Is truth something that can be neatly packaged into a repeating loop, a perfect, predictable drama? Or is truth, by its very nature, something much, much bigger, something unlimited and truly infinite?